Let's talk a little bit about Firebase. As Kevin mentioned, this is version 2 of the course, and in the, I think, year and a half since we did this last time, Firebase released a entirely new database. So a lot has actually changed, and also React has changed a lot in that time too, right? Like we have like a new context API, all sorts of new ways for dealing with state as well. So there's a lot of kind of new and interesting ways in which the two interact. So we'll talk a little, we're going to build a application using Firebase and React from the ground up with a kind of very close to a create React app basis, and then start to bring in various different Firebase features. We're going to bring in authentication, right? If you've ever like tried to wire up OAuth yourself, one, I'm sorry, and two, you're going to be a little both like elated and sad when you see how easy it is with Firebase. We're going to use Firebase's brand new Cloud Firestore, which is their fancy new database that is a lot easier to work with and a lot more scalable. It's really kind of exciting. We'll play around with storage for storing images and any other kind of files that we want to store. We'll upload those through our React app as well. And then we'll also write cloud functions. There's a lot of stuff like Firebase. We think about it a lot as, oh, it's just totally for a front end to talk to a back end system, right? But actually, we can write back end code with Firebase too. And we're going to need to for a lot of things. There's a lot of things you don't want to necessarily do on the client, so it's awesome to be able to make API endpoints. Or say, hey, when this data change, then I want to go ahead and like trigger all these other actions, right? So you can do a whole bunch of stuff in the background. If you've ever played with like AWS Lambdas or anything along those lines, it's very similar to that. Like based on events that happen in your application, you can trigger other things that go on and happen as well, right? So we'll be able to like update data, change stuff as other things change, and it'll be really interesting. And for me, this is also very compelling because I've been one of my like hobby horses is this argument that we don't tend to think about modern client-side applications in the same way that we think about stuff like an iOS or an Android application. And your modern day, like true like web application is very much like a mobile application, right? It was like one of those like boiling a frog things where it went from, okay, yeah, I'm going to do some form validation in jQuery to I'm going to ship a giant bundle of JavaScript and an index.html file with a single div on it and build the entire thing in there and have it work offline and stuff along those lines, right? So it's really interesting to use the same kind of tools. Like Firebase, we're going to use it with React today, but Firebase also supports iOS and Android as well, right? So kind of thinking in that paradigm of building, in our case, both desktop and mobile applications, because that's the beauty of the web, we can start to think about it in the same way that we think about building native mobile applications and using some of the same frameworks. Again, we are doing this in JavaScript and React, but the Firebase concepts, theoretically, like should you choose to pick up Swift or Kotlin or Java to do Android development, that is very much the concepts still apply, right? Theoretically, some of these concepts will still apply to like React Native as well.